You Months ago, before covering the Whistle occurrence, the first Roblox ARG or web series I ever found was this. I don't know what about it made it so special, but something about that thumbnail just clicked with me. And thanks to that, I ended up discovering this channel, Yarm's Alley. And to this day, it's easily the most obscure thing relating to Roblox I've ever come across. The channel contains around 11 videos. On the surface, it looks like a group of friends creating a Roblox game together. But in reality, it turns into one of the most complex and biggest rabbit holes I've ever come across. Exploring the idea of what happens when you can't let go of the past, or try to relive it instead of moving on. Unlike the other series I've covered on the channel, this one actually has an ending. So without wasting any more time, let's dive into the first video. Introduction.video is exactly what the title suggests, an introduction to our main character, Guest War360, whose real name is Joey, and explains that he created this channel with his friends, who we'll get to meet later on. The empty baseplate we see in the background is actually the start of Joey's new game that he plans on building with the help of his friends, and mentions he'll be adding anything the comments suggest to him. And that's pretty much it. From the way it's presented, it looks like we'll be getting small updates on this game as it develops, with each video slowly building onto that same baseplate. However, one thing I really want to focus on is the visuals. One of the first things that immediately caught my attention was how different this looks compared to most old Roblox or archive style footage. If we put the two side by side, it doesn't resemble typical recordings from that era at all. I also want to take a moment to appreciate the design of Joey's avatar. I don't know why, but Joey's avatar is the only one out of any series I've ever come across that I actually feel attached to in some way. Pairing this with the visuals, a nice little headcanon I had for the entire series is this series taking place in an alternate universe where old Roblox did look like this. However, that headcanon gets immediately shattered in video 2. Video 2 is filler. It's just Joey playing a random Roblox game that I don't know the name of. This is also the only video in the series that doesn't carry over the visual aesthetics introduced in video 1, as we see Joey lose all his aura and drip. My best guess is that this video exists mainly to follow up on what Joey said in the first video, about the channel being about him playing games, which I forgot to mention, and making games. Because after rewatching this video multiple times, there's nothing out of the ordinary here, and nothing in this video that really has any significance for the rest of the series. But anyways, let's move on. Now, after that little detour in video 2, we return back to the aesthetics introduced in the first video, with Joey regaining all his aura back. We're once again looking at the same empty baseplate Joey showed us at the start of the series, except this time, it's not so empty anymore. Joey has actually started building some stuff. He gives us a quick little tour of what he's built so far. There's a barn, some hay scattered around the place, and even a scarecrow that kinda looks like Joey himself. It's nothing huge yet, but compared to the first video, it's a major improvement. Joey says he hopes we like what he's built so far, and mentions that he'll probably continue expanding and decorating the place in the next one, and also mentions that he might invite some of his friends to help build things with him. And that's pretty much it. A small detail we learned from this video that I did not mention is that Joey's main language seems to be Portuguese. At the very start of the recording, before he begins, we can see a message he wrote in chat that says,
Começar a gravar.
Which basically translates to start recording. Nothing really strange happens, besides this weird little glitch in the video, which probably doesn't mean anything in these type of videos, but this appears to be a small little devlog of the game he's been working on. And honestly, it kinda makes you curious to see what the finished version of this place is going to look like. But in order to find out, we have to move on to the next video. Now, before analyzing video 4, I want to shift our focus to the community posts. Most of the community posts aren't actually relevant to the series. They're mainly just the creator Yarm's Alley talking to the community, except for one post. This post shares some small fun facts about the characters we'll be meeting. For example, Joey, also known as Guest War360, seen as the big brother of the group. He loves playing games, spending time with his friends, and his hobby is fishing. I'll be reading each character trivia when they're introduced, as I think these character trivias are really sweet. Now back to the video. In video 4, decorations.video, we're we're introduced to a new character named Mark. For his trivia, Mark is Joey's best and oldest friend. We learned that he's a coder, likes rock and jazz, and is pretty introverted, so I'm assuming this friend group might be his only real circle. Back to the game, we can see more decorations being added and the world slowly beginning to take shape. Mark's addition to the game is a campsite for his friends. He mentions that he isn't finished with it yet since he's missing a few details, but until he finishes, we switch to another character, this time a girl by the name of Ellie, who Mark invited over to help with the game. For her trivia, she is the youngest of the group. Her hobbies are drawing and listening to music, and is in a relationship with Mark. For Ellie's fun fact, she has a cat in-game named Keiki, and she looks like this. We, for whatever reason, do get a backstory in Keiki's creation, being created somehow as an accident in the game Make a Cake, and that's all we're given. Sadly, Keiki doesn't show up at all during the main story, with her only appearing in community posts, acting sort of as the mascot for the series. Back to the game, we learned that Ellie's addition to the game is this massive house that she calls the House of Friends. She also added some extra touches around the map, which we get a look at. Mostly just being flowers placed all over the place. After Ellie gives us a little tour, we can notice that right behind there's still a huge piece of empty base plate left. Ellie mentions that someone named Felix should build something there later, which we can assume is another friend we haven't met yet. And for anyone wondering where Joey is, he couldn't get on due to some personal issues with his family that prevented him from logging on. But not to worry, because he'll be back in the next video. And that's the end of video 4. Friends.video is by far the best video in the entire series. The intro sequence of this entry is absolutely peak. We get a nice montage of the full friend group, enjoying the new place they built together through the first couple of videos. Joey with his farm, Mark with his campsite, and here we get to meet Felix, the last person in the friend group who added a pawn to the game, and lastly, Ellie with her house. For Felix's trivia, Felix is sort of the philosopher of the group. In his spare time, he enjoys reading thriller books and skateboarding, and is the quietest of the group, but wise in his words. Some fun facts about Felix. Coming from his upbringing, he's a pretty cool skateboarder, loves gaming, his favorite franchises are Doom and TF2, and he likes watching anime. His favorite one being Azumanga Daioh. My man! Also, after reading all the character trivias, I realized that the background they're shown in actually matches the builds they made in the game, which I think is a pretty cool detail. Back to the video, we get this nice conversation between the friend group, all discussing everything that's been going on with their lives.
I'm that guy. How are you?
Finally, brother. What happened?
Nothing to worry about. Just that my parents had an argument, but everything's fine now.
That's good.
So, how are you? Any news?
So I'm just having a lot of obligations at the moment, you know. My parents and teachers are demanding a lot of me, even though I'm doing my best.
I understand.
I'm kind of going through some similar things. My parents are fighting with me a lot, even though there's no reason. I want to get away from them for a bit.
Do you want to spend some time here at home? I think if I talk to them they might understand, even if they don't like me very much.
Sure. It'll be great for both of us. I need to relax.
That's right. Felix, is there anything you'd like to say? You've been very quiet. Has anything been going on? Maybe something good or something?
I've been thinking a lot about my life and choices. I want it to be more sociable, to have more friends. I've been very afraid of what people think of me and what they say about me. I wish I could go back and enjoy every second and minute with my family around, before I lose them.
I know. I understand you. We understand you. But you can't get discouraged by life's problems. We're here when you need us.
We're your family too.
Thanks a lot, guys.
We learned that Joey has been dealing with problems at home, with his parents constantly arguing, which for any kid can always be stressful since you really never know where it may lead. Mark, on the other hand, is struggling with the responsibilities that come with getting older. More expectations are being placed on him by his parents, and even his teachers seem to be demanding more from him, leaving him feeling sort of overwhelmed. And then there's Ellie. We learned that she doesn't have the best relationship with her parents either, with constant arguments breaking out over seemingly nothing. On top of that, her parents don't really approve of Mark being her boyfriend, which only adds to the stress she's already dealing with. And lastly, there's Felix. He's dealing with a much more quieter, but just as heavy dilemma, constantly thinking about life, time, and the future. He wants to branch out, be more sociable, make more friends, and wishes he could turn back time to spend more moments with his family, before the inevitable eventually happens: death. I really love this scene. Seeing all the characters just sit there and share their personal struggles feels so simple, yet it brings an incredible amount of comfort. Watching the characters support and reassure each other, telling them that everything will be alright, is just genuinely touching. Like, how does it get better than this? Joey suddenly rejoins the game he built with the rest of his friends, except everything is gone. The world they spent the first 5 videos building has completely disappeared. In its place stands the default happy home Robloxia house, except this one looks like it's entirely made out of glass, with a spawn symbol sitting on top. And his friends, they seem to be gone too. Joey hopes the video he's been recording somehow reaches them, saying he's going to try contacting Roblox and hopefully get their game restored. Meanwhile, since he can't really do anything in this situation, he begins exploring what used to be their world. When he takes a look outside, all he sees are statues, what I'm assuming are supposed to resemble trees, and the entire base plate is covered in thick fog. Joey says he's going to start documenting everything that happens in this strange version of their game, advising his friends, if they're watching, to do the same in case something like this happens again. When he finally steps outside the house to explore further, that's when one of the statues starts moving towards him, and the recording cuts there. Now, this is the part in the story where things start to get complicated. The first 5 videos, which I like to call the house building arc, are really easy to follow, and it's very clear what's happening. However, from here on out, things start getting more and more confusing. Who exactly is this creature, and why is it targeting Joey and his friends? Something I didn't mention is the exact part where the corruption of the game begins to happen. A base 64 code shows up. When decoded, it takes us to a pastebin link. In it, we see a conversation between 2 people with the initials E and M, who I'm going to guess is Ellie and Mark. We don't know the context of the situation they're in, however, Ellie seems to be really paranoid about something, claiming that Joey wouldn't be a bad guy, would he? With Mark reassuring that he isn't, and that he's known him for a long time, while Ellie only for a short time. Ellie, still being optimistic, doesn't want to blame Joey, but finds it weird that all of this is happening. Now, what exactly is happening here that would make Ellie start questioning Joey and their friendship? I honestly have no clue. Is it connected to the corruption of the game? Who knows? Another base 64 code appears at the very end. When decoded, it shows an image of a grave with the following text.
They call glory days the statues that still hold up the memory of those who refuse to move on. Frozen in nostalgia, trapped in what once was, they lived forever in a time that the world has forgotten. Not even death has freed these souls. They continue to admire a moment that will never come again. Their glories have been ruins, and their memories just dust from the past.
Now, what exactly does this mean? Well, I'm not entirely sure. This could mean multiple things. Whatever this place is seems to be deeply connected to the past and the idea of not being able to move on. Almost like everything here exists just to preserve moments that should have been left behind. And with that in mind, let's move on to the next video. Whatever ended up attacking Joey in the last video seems to have teleported him somewhere completely different. We see him on a boat, moving across what looks like blue Roblox avatars mimicking water. Joey questions who these avatars could belong to. Are they supposed to resemble players? But he doesn't have much time to think about that, as he eventually reaches his next destination. The next time we see Joey, I'm going to be honest, I have no idea where he's at right now. Joey introduces himself again, and instead of questioning where he is, he just stands there, admiring the place, calling it friendly beautiful. We can see in front of him stands a massive statue holding a sword with that strange spawn symbol on both of its shoulders. It's facing towards a beaming light in the distance, and with nowhere else to go, Joey walks towards it. As soon as he reaches the light, he's transported once again to a completely new location. However, the statue seems to have followed him. The new place appears to be some sort of city, except all the buildings are covered in posters of that strange spawn symbol, along with the word Gnostic. Scattered around the city are more Roblox avatars just standing there. Joey examines the posters and asks a really good question. What does Gnostic even mean? And to be honest, I'm not really sure either. When you actually try to look it up, the word doesn't really come up, or at least not in the way that matches what we're seeing here. The closest thing you get is a variation of the word, but even then, the definition doesn't really line up with what we know about the series so far. Back to the video, once Joey is done examining the posters and his surroundings, he continues exploring, eventually reaching the end of the city. At the end of the city, he's greeted with multiple paths to walk through, but before he can even investigate any of them, he hears bells chiming in the distance, and shortly after, he's attacked by the same white entity from the last video. And that's where the video ends. However, if we slow down the clip, we get shown a lot of things. For one, the word egregore appears for a single frame. Searching for the definition, an egregore is a concept in Western esotericism that refers to a non-physical entity or thought form that arises from the collective thoughts and emotions of a group of people. Now, I have no idea what this could possibly mean, but shout out to this comment because it actually makes a really good point. The egregore in this series could be the white entity we saw following Joey. In the last frame, we see that same white entity hovering over Joey and the rest of his friends. It's standing above them with its arms stretched out, almost like it's controlling them or possessing their minds, which honestly seems like a pretty good match for the idea of a non-physical entity created from the collective thoughts and emotions of a group. It's not attacking them physically. It looks more like it has power over them. So, could this new world be something created from their collective thoughts, brought into existence by this egregore? Or is the entity itself a result of those thoughts, something that formed from everything they've been holding on to? No idea, but hopefully things start making more sense in the next video.
I live with my grandparents. They're not at home at the moment. I'm hearing voices and thoughts in my house. I need my grandparents right now. I wish my parents were here.
Welp, things got even more complicated. This video takes place in the real world. We have no idea who's saying all of this. We're not given a name. The only key detail we're told is that they live with their grandparents. For a second, I actually had to check if this was some non-canon entry, as it's completely different from anything we've seen so far. But it's placed directly in the playlist, so I'm going to assume it's canon. From the shots we get around the house, we can infer that whoever's grandparents these are seem to be religious, as there's a picture of Jesus hanging in the living room, which isn't something everyone has. Now the big question is, who is this POV even supposed to be? And if I'm being honest, I have no idea. Because from the conversations we get in Friends.video, we know everyone in the friend group has parents involved in their life in some way. Joey talks about his parents arguing, Mark talks about how his parents are demanding a lot from him, and Ellie's relationship with her parents seems like it just sucks. So the only person that maybe fits this is Felix, mainly because Felix's whole thing was fear about losing his family, wanting to spend more time with them before they're gone. So could this be after Felix lost his parents and ended up living with his grandparents? Maybe. I don't know for sure. I'm not gonna pretend I have this fully figured out. I'm honestly just throwing theories out there, because this video drops a completely new angle on the story with almost zero context. Something I haven't mentioned yet is that in the description of this video, we get this scrambled line of text, which I'm assuming is some kind of code that leads somewhere. However, I have no idea how to actually decode it. I've tried almost every decoder I could think of, but nothing ever came back as readable text. So it's most likely that I'm missing a step somewhere, and this key could actually be the thing that helps us understand this video more. But until then, this code pretty much remains unsolved, unless there's someone out there that manages to crack it. The video starts, but this time it's from Ellie's perspective. From the looks of it, it seems like we're getting each character's point of view, showing where they ended up after the game got corrupted. Joey seemed to be transported to some kind of empty city, and Ellie appears to be somewhere completely different. She spawns right in front of a group of figures all wearing masks, standing in formation, praying to a statue of an hourglass, and at the very top of that statue is the same figure Joey saw back in video 6. We learned that thanks to Joey recording his teleportation into what I'll call the unknown, Ellie was able to figure out that each of them had been transported to a different game, each one experiencing something completely different on their own. While Joey was teleported to the sea with those strange NPCs, and later into that empty city, Ellie's experience was much different. Ellie begins to describe what her first teleport was like. For Ellie, everything was surrounded in thick white mist. While exploring through the fog, she eventually came across some kind of shrine. There were books with strange symbols scattered around, and figures wearing what looked like magical robes standing nearby. But the moment she got close, she was suddenly teleported again, and that's how she ended up here. While exploring the area, she eventually comes across another person. However, he looks exactly like the figure she saw before at the shrine, dressed in those same magical-like robes. She approaches him and asks where she is and what the hell is this place, to which he replies, "Wood lies." However, he doesn't use in-game chat, but instead actually talks. When she asks what that even means, we don't really get an answer, so instead she asks another question. What are the NPCs praying for? When asked again what he means, he doesn't answer. For her last question, she asks what his name is, to which he replies, Ibris. Ellie decides not to bother asking Hybris any more questions and instead continues exploring. As she walks, she continues to be watched, stared at by these avatars. I'm not even sure whether to call them NPCs or players, but they all share the exact same look. And then out of nowhere, she notices something strange. Her house. The same house she built back in Joey's game is here. As she approaches the door, she's suddenly stopped by another NPC blocking her path. When she's asked who he is, he simply replies, "No one." and then warns her, saying that the family who live inside the house are sinners in the flesh, not even realizing he's talking to one of the people who actually created that house. With that warning in mind, Ellie walks inside. At first, everything seems normal, almost identical to how it looked in Joey's game, until she walks upstairs.
Where are you? Hiding from
We get shown a lot in a very short amount of time. It looks like Ellie is reliving a moment from her real life. We see what I'm assuming are her parents, but through Ellie's eyes. They don't look human. But before we can even fully process what we're looking at, we're transported again. This time, we see Ellie in what looks like a player avatar in the sky. It's hard to even properly describe what we're looking at. But then the glass-like player avatar reveals its true form, the Egregore. And he begins talking to Ellie.
In the ringing of the bells, that cracked shell, those empty eyes, begging for answers that never came. It's funny how you walk through life as if you were whole, but inside, you're just dust trying to hold itself together. Every bad thought, a drop. Every ignored silence, one more crack. Until one day, it all collapses. And death, oh, it's not the monster they paint it as. It's just the door that's always been open. The dimly lit emergency exit in the corner of the room. You pass it every day, out of the corner of your eye, but you pretend not to see it until the pain gets so heavy that the floor disappears and the invitation whispers louder. Do it now.
We see him give a really interesting monologue to Ellie. He dives deep into Ellie's insecurities, accusing her of not being whole, saying she's always been broken and just pretending to hold herself together. He tells her that everything she's shown her friends, everything she shows the world is fake, that she's just a cracked shell. However, things get serious when Egregore starts talking about death and guiding Ellie towards that path. He makes it sound somewhat peaceful, calling it an exit from the pain she's dealing with. She starts removing the guilt from that option, telling her that she's not weak for choosing that path, and that it isn't wrong. To help her make a decision, he gives her a knife, with Egregore's final line being, "Do it now." Now at this point, we don't really know what path Ellie has chosen, but we can learn a couple of things about Egregore. This video seemingly confirms the idea that Egregore is an entity that feeds off the friends group's insecurities. And lastly, there's a code we're given during the transformation of Egregore. However, just like the previous code, I wasn't able to get any readable text or link from it. So unfortunately, this will also have to remain unsolved. After witnessing what happened to Joey and seeing Egregore break down Ellie piece by piece, we now move on to Mark. And if the pattern continues, this probably isn't going to be good. Just like the others, Mark was separated during the corruption of the game, transported somewhere else, somewhere designed specifically for him. Right away, we see the same reoccurring statue we saw both in Ellie and Joey's videos, confirming that whatever force is behind all of this is still present, but Mark's environment is different. The game he ended up in looks like a high school, and considering what we learned about him earlier, the pressure from his parents, the expectations from teachers, this setting doesn't feel random. Mark starts exploring the school, noticing that the hallways seem to go on forever. It feels endless. He also seems more aware of the situation than the others, completely avoiding using the in-game chat, and instead communicating through text on screen. But that doesn't seem to stop the entity. As soon as he looks at the bulletin board, in the center of the hallway, the red corruption flashes back on screen. For a single frame, we see something. A black entity. Mark tries his best to get away, but obviously he fails. And just like that, he ends up in the same place Ellie did, the void. However, the entity that meets Mark doesn't appear to be Egregore, at least I'm assuming it isn't. Throughout the series, Egregore has had a consistent appearance, this white shape-shifting creature, but this one is different. This one is a tall floating black figure wearing a white mask, and he begins talking to Mark. I would show the full speech given to Mark, however, for whatever reason, Adobe doesn't want to import the audio correctly, so instead I decided to transcribe the entire thing, which as you can see is a lot to process. But after going through it, a few things really stand out. Unlike the speech with Ellie, this one doesn't fully push him towards harm. Instead, he starts giving Mark advice. He begins telling Mark that he isn't a machine meant to spin forever, and that flesh bleeds. It acknowledges that he deserves individuality. Then the final line, maybe I'm the only one who sees it, or maybe I'm just what's left of you when everything else has given up. Then the screen goes black.
Mark, take your seat now.
But
No more answers. Do it now.
We're back in Mark's perspective, seemingly simulating what a normal day at school looks like for him. As the teacher calls him by name and tells him to take a seat, the teacher seems pretty strict, not giving Mark a moment to process what he's just been through, immediately telling him to go back to his seat. As he walks back, we notice something strange. All of the students are wearing the same default avatar, just staring at him as he walks to his desk. Mark takes a seat, however, something must have happened during the transition, as the teacher once again calls on Mark.
Mark, could you please not cause any problems and sort this out straight away? You have no choice, Mark. Accept it.
And that's where the video ends. It feels like we're missing a ton of context, especially since most of the codes we've been given so far are still unsolved and could easily contain the missing pieces we need to fully understand what's going on. But even without those, I'm going to try to make some sense of this. Why are we suddenly shown the real world again, with what looks like us about to get hit by a car? My guess is that just like Ellie was forced to relive something personal with her parents, this could be Mark's version of that. A moment tied to pressure, stress, or something that pushed him to a breaking point, which lines up perfectly with what we see after in the classroom, where he's constantly being told to just accept it. However, this is just my interpretation. I could be totally wrong. But from the looks of things, it seems like the characters are just reliving painful moments from their past, with no real solution on how to escape or defeat it. With everything we've seen happen to Joey's friends, the real question now is, where has Joey been during all of this?
Oh, hello.
We return back to the POV of Joey, as the last time we saw him, he ended up getting attacked by Egregore. Joey explains that after the events of Video 6, he ended up getting teleported here. Roblox still hasn't managed to recover their game yet, as we can see, but we learned that Joey has watched the videos from the others and their experiences, and has come to the conclusion that all of this might be connected to some sort of cult, though he isn't exactly sure yet. The only real evidence he has is that same statue that keeps appearing and following them with each teleport. However, Joey, being the GOAT, stays optimistic and hopes that everyone is okay. He starts exploring the new area and realizes that this place reminds him of the barn he built back in his game, just with way more detail than now a forest surrounding it. Nice. Next to it is the same hourglass statue that appeared in Ellie's video. Not wanting to go through what Ellie went through, Joey decides it's probably best to just ignore it. As he walks deeper through the forest, he stumbles across a cornfield.
Ah, a cornfield. Oop, did I hear something? Is there someone there?
He hears some noises in the distance, and for whatever reason, he walks towards it. Only to find another farm.